Hey YouTubers, it's me again. I just want to do a video on the new HR 2200 Transportation Act bill that Clinton just signed in, I think, a couple weeks ago. I've been in Latin America for a while, so I wasn't really aware of this, but I think it was in 2008 or 2009. They tried to slip in a thing where if you owe more than $50,000 in back taxes, they can take away your passport. Well, they just signed it into law, which is a big deal because if you read the bill and try to understand it, which is fairly complicated, but if you kind of read between the lines, they don't have to prove you owe 22 that you owe $50,000 in back tax. They just have to say or think you owe it. You have to prove you don't to them, which could be very costly. So what does it all mean for expats? Well, I think what they're trying to do is make it harder and harder for expats to actually expat out of the USA. And another thing is, let's say you're traveling and wanting to do business overseas. Well, if they can take your passport away for for suggesting that you owe $50,000, and that's a way they can control you from leaving the U.S. or your capital. Because if you don't have a passport, you can't open bank accounts, you can't travel, you can't do business. It'll be a way for the IRS or whoever in government wants to punish you. Uh, they can just use the IRS to take away your passport, your right to travel, if you will. And there's been a few other developments too. Right now I'm in Guatemala, and I have residency here, and I got residency here kind of as all these rules were changing. You may not know this, but as more and more Americans expat, the government puts more and more pressure on countries to make it harder for us to actually get legal residency. So in my case, I had to go down and get my passport certified, which in the past you didn't have to do. Well, now you got to do it. And that's not a big deal or anything, but it took me 2 days because the lady at the desk was in a bad mood. Let's say the previous dude before me pissed her off, so she slammed the door shut, even though they're still supposed to be open when I was there. So I couldn't get my passport certified. But basically, what it amounts to is it costs $50. You got to get it certified, and you have to do that in the country. You have to go down to the country you're going to be resident and get it certified in that specific country, which is what I did. Well, the new wrinkle is you just can't walk in off the street and go in there and get it certified. You have to set up an appointment online, and that could be a week or two. So you got to be in the country. You have to set up an appointment online to go in there, just to go inside the embassy. So kind of what you can read into is they don't really want Americans expating or getting residency. So what I would suggest, if you're thinking about it or if you're on the fence, get that residency started now. Right now, it's fairly easy, at least in Central America, or specifically Guatemala, to get a legal residency. First, you get a temporary residency, and then you just convert that into a permanent residency. Then after that, you just become a naturalized citizen. You can get your second passport, and that's what I intend to do. But I can tell from how the economy is performing and some of these rules and laws that are coming into play, the government wants to kind of put a fence around the country, keep you and your capital from leaving if you actually have any. And in some ways, it's kind of frightening because they want to keep you in too. For a lot of us, our capital is our brains, it's us, and if we can't go anywhere, start all over again, or start a new life somewhere else, that's pretty frightening. So if you're on the fence on expating, I would get some money offshore. I would definitely get some money into gold coins, and I would consider getting a residency somewhere that will lead to a passport eventually, in case for one reason or another you get singled out by the government and they try to take your passport away. Because once you get on that list where the government says you owe whatever it is you owe, it's really hard to get your passport unblocked. It's really hard to convince them that you don't owe the money because um, what they can do is they can freeze your assets in the U.S. So then you can't hardly hire a lawyer if all your assets are frozen. So you can't hire a lawyer to represent you in their court to get your passport back to prove that you didn't owe the money in the first place, which does happen from time to time. course, if you actually do owe money, that's a different case. But in a lot of cases, it's just people they're just singling them out to harass them. Anyhow, comment, subscribe, let me know what you think. Thanks.